Isaiah 13 and 17. Babylon will fall to the Medes. Behold, I will stir up the Medes against them, which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it. Drop down to 19. And Babylon, the glory of kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldees' excellency, shall be as when the Most High Power overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. All praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakar Kadash. Double honors to the apostles, elders, and teachers of Great Millstone for teaching me this 100% truth about our Lord and Savior, Yahweh Shai HaMashiach, and the true reason why he's coming back, which is to save the elect remnant of the house of Israel from their enemies and those that hate them, and to take over the earth and universe, which was given to him by the mighty, mighty Yahweh himself, the Ancient of Days, wherein our Lord and Savior, Yahweh Shai HaMashiach, will establish righteousness throughout the whole earth and universe forever under the kingdom of the heaven of the Israelites. Shalom, Akim and Akwaf. We one day closer to the kingdom. It's your brother Hadab Yarbad, back just with a quick lesson, update on world affairs and how the Most High Power, the Almighty Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, is stirring up the minds of the Medes against who? The Medes being who? Modern day Russia. Stirring them up against who? Babylon the Great, a.k.a. America. Along with them 48 fakers. You know who they are. The fraudulent ones. We got an escalation, right? Let me get this right quick. Let's go to Ezekiel 38. The words of the Holy Scriptures are true, right? We'll just drop down. I started at 4. This is the Most High Power talking about Russia. And as we know, Russia is in a current situation against Ukraine, who is being backed by NATO and America. Now, they just got accused, Ukraine just got accused of attempting to use drones. They sent over 90 drones over into Russia and attempted to take out President Putin at one of his houses. Now, you got the American government, CIA, and Ukraine denying it. But Russia like, fuck it, all gloves off. They done activated them Orishnik missiles over in Belarus. Things are heating up, people. Israel, as I say, for each lesson, we one day closer to the kingdom. Now, Russia ain't gonna stand for it. And now we got the escalation, but because DJ just had another meeting with BB, and you know who that is, and they looking like they finna plan on striking Iran, but Iran saying we ready, and we know who back Iran. That's right, the Russians. Ezekiel 38 and 4. It's the Lord talking about Russia. And I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth, and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. Here go the point. Persia, that's modern day Iran. And that's who DJ just puffed up at. Was that Psalms 10th chapter? Him and BB at his home in Florida. What's that, Mar-a-Lago? Right? Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with them. All of them with shield and helmet. Gomer and all his bands. Right? The house of Togomar of the north quarters and all his bands and many people with thee. You go to point for Russia. Be thou prepared and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. Now you got your American government, the Department of War. This is what they claim. They bombed a facility in Venezuela. Venezuela is backed by who? Russia. They just bombed what they call terrorists in Nigeria, even though the reports coming out that the area that they bombed were no terrorists in. They bombed Yemen, Iran, this all in 2025. Syria, he bombed somebody else. Iraq, I don't believe they bombed Lebanon, but they counterparts did. Let's get this. Let's go to Jeremiah 51. All this is about Babylon, right? You can read the whole chapter if you want to. I'm just going to this about the Medes, right? The Medes, which through the Spirit is who? Russia. Jeremiah 51 and 11. Make bright the arrows, because we're on the cusp of World War III kicking off on a national stage, on a world stage. And like we've been saying, as it is written in the scriptures, just read Ezekiel 38. It's going to be Russia and all its allies against Babylon the Great, a.k.a. America, and who? The unrecognized state of Israel, because of all their actions. Make bright the arrows, gather the shields. Yahweh have raised up the spirit of the kings of the Medes. That's Vladimir Putin. Say, I just tried to hit me in my house. I got something for y'all ass. Y'all didn't hit a red line. Oh, and you got China, which is an ally of Russia, performing military drills all around Taiwan. Why? Because your American government been supplying Taiwan with weapons, trying to destabilize the South Pacific ring, the South Pacific, meaning what China got going on. Taiwan is a territory of China, just like Puerto Rico, a territory of America. China got business deals with Guyana and Venezuela. And Trump is over here trying to disrupt that for them, right? Make bright the arrows, gather the shields. Yahweh have raised up the spirit of the kings of the Medes, for his device is against Babylon, modern day America, to destroy it, because it is the vengeance of Yahweh, the vengeance of his temple. Set up the standard upon the walls of Babylon. Make the watch strong. Set up the watchmen. Prepare the ambushes. For Yahweh have both devised and done that which he spake against the inhabitants of Babylon. O thou that dwellest upon many waters. They got over 800 military bases around the world, abundant in treasures. It's always about natural resources, money, right? Now you're going to I got a podcast we finna play from the Times of India. You got DJ coming out and saying that they might have to go at Iran again because they started to develop their nuclear program, and because of their missiles that they been building to go at who? The Israelis. And then they had the nerve to say that if Hamas don't disarm, Palestinians, right? If Hamas don't disarm because they violating the agreement, you ain't said nothing about the Israelis. They didn't violate the latest ceasefire agreement, which started in October the 10th. They have violated that over 900 times. They ain't been held accountable. So why you want Hamas to disarm so bad? Just like you want Hezbollah to disarm. Just like you don't want Iran developing no long-range missiles. Why? Because they wanted their enemies to just lay down and let them Israelis do what they want to do to them. Take over Palestine. They already committing genocide, right? They want to take over southern Lebanon, parts of Syria. It's the Greater Israel Project. All these private firms have stock in what's going on in the Gaza Strip, because they know right off the Gaza Strip in the Mediterranean Sea, it's vast amounts of oil. Wherever they got beef at, it's because of the natural resources. And what you're doing, as is written in the scriptures, I just read it, right? The Lord going to bring up the Medes, the Russians, going to go at them. And they're going to have a lot of allies with them. And eventually NATO gonna turn. Right? Let's get this right quick, and then we're gonna play this clip. It's a quick lesson. Making sure y'all staying up to date to what's going on. Cause something finna go down. Right? Psalms 10:2. The wicked in his pride doeth persecute the poor. Let them be taken in the devices that they have imagined. Now, what the fuck do DJ having a meeting with Netanyahu got to do with the people, what they got going on in Venezuela? That's tied to them Israelis too. Pay attention, people. All these things are for the controversy of Zion. Esau's house is divided. The economies of the European countries, so-called European countries, are collapsing. Germany, France, Great Britain. They can't even build up their military, but yet they still want to fight and go to war with who? Russia, because it is written. For the wicked boasteth of his heart's desire, and blesseth the covetous, whom Yahweh abhorreth. Right? The wicked through the pride of his countenance will not seek after the Most High power. The Most High power is not all his thoughts. Here go the point, because this DJ to a T. His ways are always grievous. Thy judgments are far above out of his sight. As for all his enemies, he puffeth at them. That's all he doing. He threatening them. Talking about they might have to go back and have to bomb Iran again. Iran saying, bring it on. Russia saying, we know y'all had something to do with this attempted assassination of Vladimir Putin. Right? Let's get one more. I think it's Proverbs 16, Shalaki. Yeah. I think I want Proverbs 16. Shalaki is right here. It's going through the spirit. Yeah. Proverbs 16:4. Yahweh hath made all things for himself. Yeah. Even the wicked for the day of evil. You got to remember now, the Lord control everything. He controlling the minds of these kings, right? To put these wicked thoughts in their hearts, to go at it with each other, right? Luke 21. Yahweh hath made all things for himself, yeah, even the wicked for the day of evil. And we know who the wicked are. It's already been established in the scriptures and through thousands of lessons. Esau, Edom, the so-called modern-day white man. Everyone that is proud in heart is an abomination to Yahweh. Though hand join in hand, CIA, the Mossad, the American government, and the unrecognized state of Israel's government, right? Though hand join in hand, he shall not be unpunished. They think they're getting away with it. They think they're going to advance their plans. They got everybody in their pockets. But like we read, let's go back. Like we read in Isaiah 13, right? Behold, I will stir up the Medes against them, which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it, right? Because all the Americans do, Israelis do, all these Edomite countries, the leaders, they pay. That's why they got all these proxy wars going on. But you ain't gonna be able to pay Russia off. They gonna get it y'all ass. Luke 21. I started 9. Luke 21:9. But when ye shall hear of wars and commotions, be not terrified, for these things must first come to pass. But the end is not by and by. You got several countries fighting with each other. They're trying to get ceasefires. All these things that have been stirred up, especially when it comes to war, it's coming from who? The so-called modern-day white man. Right? Verse 10. Now I read 9 again. But when you shall hear of wars and commotions, be not terrified, for these things must first come to pass, but the end is not by and by. You got trouble in Nigeria, Venezuela, Ukraine, Cambodia and Thailand going at it. Pakistan and India was going at it. It's Israel, the unrecognized state of Israel, against all their neighbors. Right? And then you got Babylon the Great. And they just going wreaking havoc all around the world. They got beef with Venezuela. They just created a new beef over in Nigeria. The rest of the Shia countries want France and America up out of their country. Putin saying, y'all had something to do with this. So we're going to start, they going to respond. And it will not be friendly. Then said he unto them, nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And great earthquakes shall be in divers places, which has happened. Shit, for since, really it picked up since they came with that pandemic in 2020, right? It was all kind of earthquakes last year in diverse places. Famines. We see a famine going on in Sudan, Palestine, pestilences. They got a new virus going through the earth right now. Created by who? The wicked. Esau Edom, who is the modern day white man. In fearful sights and great signs shall there be from heaven. They got that 1-3 Atlas. They spooked. They don't know what it is. First they said it was a comet. Then the latest report might be Ezekiel's will. Pay attention, Israel. The Lord is working his wonders on the earth. Let's get this. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Non-profit, educational, or personal use tips to balance in favor of fair use. This is for educational purposes only. Let me get one more. We'll get this, then we'll end off on that because things are picking up. Huh? 2 Ezra 15-14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein. It's going to be mass destruction this year. For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh. And one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. For there shall be a sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes. So you got the NGO, the WEF trying to start the New World Order. But the citizens, they upset. They don't like this advancement in technology that they're trying to come with. This technocracy. Right? Let's get one more. 2 Ezra 6, we know what happened in 9, right? For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth, right? 2 Ezra 6:18. And it said, behold, the days come that I will begin to draw nigh and to visit them that dwell upon the earth. Who is this? It's the Lord speaking, right? And will begin to make inquisition of them what they be that have hurt unjustly with their unrighteousness, and when the affliction of Zion shall be fulfilled. That's why the name of my channel, The Controversy of Zion, right? Let me drop down. And suddenly shall, verse 22, and suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown. The full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty. There gonna be no food, right? Money finna be gone too. No work in Babylon the Great. And the trumpet shall give a sound, which when every man hear it, they shall be suddenly afraid. At that time shall friends fight one against another like enemies. That's coming. Civil war is coming to Babylon the Great. Race war is coming to Babylon the Great. At that time shall friends fight one against another like enemies, and the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein. The springs of the fountain shall stand still, and in 3 hours they shall not run. You continue to read that for yourself. Now, Let's go back. I'm going to end it on this. Let's go back to Jeremiah 51. Because the Lord finna send the Medes. Yeah. He finna send them Russians over here, boy. But not only Russia, all these other countries whom, through history and time, the Babylonians, Babylon the Great, aka America, that when they destabilized governments, crippled other countries' economies, making their citizens have to migrate and leave their homeland just to find work and food, all of them gonna come against Babylon the Great. Jeremiah 51:28, prepare against her the nations, right, with the kings of the Medes, the captains thereof, and all the rulers thereof, and all the land of his dominion. And the land shall tremble in sorrow, for every purpose of Yahweh shall be performed against Babylon, to make the land of Babylon a desolation, without an inhabitant. Like we've been saying, those who cleave to these, look at it, Isaiah 13, prophecies against Babylon. Those who cleave to America in their wicked ways, are finna be laid down. You're gonna be thrust through with them. Hold on. Let me read it for you. Right? I'm just going to get to the point. You can read this whole chapter for yourself. Isaiah 13:15. Everyone that is found shall be thrust through, and everyone that is joined unto them shall fall by the sword. We've been telling y'all, come up out of her through the spirit. But hey, 2/3 of our people, so-called Native Americans, African Americans, and Latinos, they still making plans. They still doing 5-year goals, 10-year goals. They finally getting to the bag. They creating generational wealth. This country finna get destroyed. Now let's check this out. Guess what it is right here? We one day closer to the kingdom. Shalom.
A war of words is turning sharper and louder. A threat from Donald Trump, a defiant reply from Tehran. Missiles, nukes, and red lines are back in the spotlight as Washington signals force and Iran warns of consequences that will not be forgotten. This is not diplomacy. This is deterrence spoken in ultimatums. Iran's president has fired a sharp warning in response to Donald Trump's latest threat. On social media, Masoud Pezeshkian vowed that any new aggression against Iran would be met with a severe and regret-inducing response. The message was unmistakable. Tehran will not absorb another strike quietly. The warning came hours after Trump escalated his rhetoric from U.S. soil. Standing beside Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in Florida, the U.S. president threatened to eradicate any attempt by Iran to rebuild its nuclear or missile capabilities. He claimed future strikes could be more powerful than the last. Trump's remarks marked a notable shift. For the first time, he openly linked potential U.S. military action not only to Iran's nuclear program, but also to its conventional missile systems, a pillar of Iran's defense strategy. Iranian officials reject Washington's framing. They insist their nuclear program remains peaceful, pointing to repeated international inspections and denials of weapons development. Tehran accuses the U.S. of using unverified claims to justify military pressure. Iran's response did not stop with the president. Ali Shamkhani, a senior advisor to Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei, warned that Iran's missile capabilities are not subject to foreign permission. Any miscalculation, he said, would trigger an immediate and harsh response beyond expectations. For decades, Tehran has described its missile arsenal as purely deterrent, a shield in a region crowded with U.S. bases and hostile forces. Iranian leaders say limiting missile range would leave the country exposed to long-range threats. Iran has also rejected demands to dismantle its nuclear infrastructure, calling them violations of international law and the Non-Proliferation Treaty. Instead, officials accuse Washington of maintaining a policy of coercion, backed by sanctions and force. The tension is not unfolding in isolation. The United States joined Israeli strikes on Iranian nuclear sites earlier this year, deepening hostilities and reinforcing Tehran's warnings that future confrontations will not be symbolic. As the rhetoric intensified, Moscow urged restraint. The Kremlin called for dialogue and warned against steps that could push the region toward wider conflict. Russia emphasized that escalation would benefit no one. With threats traded publicly and military options discussed openly, the standoff has entered a dangerous phase. Washington signals dominance, Tehran signals defiance, and between them lies a region where one misstep could turn warnings into war.
I'd like to know if you and the Prime Minister talked about having Israel pull back its troops before Hamas fully disarms. I know that's been an issue. Did you push for that today?
Well, we talked about Hamas and we talked about disarmament, and they're going to be given a very short period of time to disarm, and we'll see how that works out. Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner will be in charge of that from our side, but if they don't disarm as they agreed to do, they agreed to it, and then they'll be held to pay for them. And we don't want that. We're not looking for that. But they have to disarm within a fairly short period of time.
Was Israel withdrawing its forces?
Well, that's a separate subject. We'll talk about that.
Mr. President,
Yes.
Mr. President, do you have a message for the Prime Minister about the West Bank? And are you at all concerned that settler violence, Israeli settler violence, could be undermining the peace plan that you
Well, we have had a discussion, big discussion, for a long time on the West Bank. And I wouldn't say we agree on the West Bank 100%, but we will come to a conclusion on the West Bank.
If I could ask, what is the disagreement?
Well, I don't want to do that. It'll be announced at an appropriate time. But he will do the right thing. I know that. And speaking of Iran, I hope they're not trying to build up again, because if they are, we're going to have no choice but very quickly to eradicate that buildup. So I hope Iran is not trying to build up, as I've been reading, that they're building up weapons and other things. And if they are, they're not using the sites that we obliterated, but they're using possibly different sites. We know exactly where they're going, what they're doing, and I hope they're not doing it, because we don't want to waste the fuel on a B-2. It's a 37-hour trip both ways. I don't want to waste a lot of fuel.
And also the nuclear weapon. But after the meeting, after what you know from the intelligence, how close are we to another war with Iran?
Well, I don't want to say that, but Iran may be behaving badly. It hasn't been confirmed, but if it's confirmed, look, they know the consequences. Consequences will be very powerful, maybe more powerful than the last time. Yeah.
Can I follow up on
And Iran should have made a deal the last time. I gave them the option. I said, you can make a deal. Do it. I told them, do it. And they didn't believe me. Now they believe me.
You have exercises basically to test encircling Taiwan. Can you explain to us what your knowledge is of that? What do you think about that? Have you had any discussions with China
Well, I have a
about
great
that?
relationship with President Xi, and he hasn't told me anything about it. I certainly have seen it, but he hasn't told me anything about it, and I don't believe he's going to be doing it.
Does it worry you?
No, nothing worries me.
But
nothing.
you said where there's smoke, there's fire, right? So if
Yeah.
you're if you're doing naval exercises and air
Well,
exercises,
I've been doing naval exercises for 20 years in that area. Nothing you can do about it. He's just a very incompetent man, but we're going to probably bring a lawsuit against him. Thank you all very much. I appreciate it. Bibi, congratulations.
Mr. President, when do you expect an announcement then on Powell's replacement?
January sometime.
And will you ask Jay Powell to resign from
Well,
the
he should
board
resign.
entirely?
Be a favor to the nation. But he's come close. I mean, we're getting pretty close.
Will you
I would
still-
fire him. I'd love to fire him, but we're so close, you know. Maybe, but maybe I still might.
Will you sell F-35 to Turkey?
Say it.
Are you
Will
going
sell-
to approve a selling of F-35
F-35
to
to
the
Turkey?
Turkey?
We're thinking about it very seriously.
And